What if one bold idea, a few rule breakers, and just $296 could spark an entire automotive revolution? The 1964 Pontiac GTO didn't just hit the streets, it exceeded expectations. In a single year, sales exploded from 5,000 to over 32,000 units, proving drivers didn't just want cars, they wanted power, speed, and swagger. With a 325 horsepower V8, optional tri-power carburetors, and a name inspired by Ferrari, this wasn't just a car, it showed who you are. But what made it such a big deal in culture? Why did it connect so much with young car lovers? Stick around to find out, and don't forget to subscribe if you're into muscle cars, history, and a bit of rebellion. Want to hear the roar that began everything? Let's go back to 1963, a time when General Motors had a strict rule. No engines over 330 cubic inches in mid-size cars. That could have been the end of any big performance dreams for Pontiac. But a bold team of engineers took a wild chance, dropped a 389 cubic inch V8 from Pontiac's full-size line into the modest Tempest, and boom, history was made. They weren't just messing around, this was a calculated stand. The result? A car that kicked off the muscle car era in a way no one expected. The new ride was fast, sleek, and full of attitude. What made this move so genius was that it had the same physical dimensions as the smaller engine, so it fit perfectly. No red tape, no major body redesigns. GM didn't technically approve it, but since it was an option package, they got away with it. Can you think of sneaking a powerhouse into your daily driver like that today? What do you consider? Was this a smart trick or a bold act of rebellion? This car was a smart plan for success. The team knew the magic formula. Big engine plus light car plus young buyers equals a winning combo. Pontiac's marketing had always leaned on performance, especially racing. But then in 1963, GM banned all factory racing. They needed a new hook, and they found it in street performance. To make it cooler, they gave it a name that screamed racing history, GTO, Gran Turismo Omologato, inspired by the Ferrari 250 GTO. Fancy, right? It means certified for racing in the Grand Touring class. By the time they'd built a few test cars, the Pontiac crew realized something special was happening. Would you have been one of the first to take a risk on something so radically new? So, what did buyers get when they ticked the GTO option box in 1964? A whole lot for just $296. First, there was the heart of the beast, a 389 cubic inch V8 rated at 325 horsepower. That alone made it a monster. Add in a floor-mounted 3-speed manual transmission with a Hurst shifter, dual exhaust, and hood scoops, and you were working with serious street cred. But that was just the base. Want more bite? You could opt for the legendary tri-power setup, 3 2-barrel carburetors pumping out 348 horsepower. You also had the option of a 4-speed manual, limited slip differential, and heavy-duty suspension and cooling systems. That meant more control, better handling, and the power to use all those horses. With every bell and whistle, the GTO weighed in around 3,500 pounds and cost about $4,500. Affordable for the average young car enthusiast. 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds and a 14.8-second quarter mile? That was a serious performance for the era. Could you think of getting this kind of power at that price today? We hope you found this insightful. If so, then subscribe and hit the bell now for more. When Pontiac greenlit the GTO, they weren't exactly bursting with confidence. Sales manager Frank Bridge capped initial production at 5,000 units, thinking it was a niche product. Boy, was he wrong. The public reaction? Off the charts. By the end of the model year, 32,450 GTOs had been sold. Drivers loved everything about it. The speed, the style, and the swagger. It became an instant icon, especially with the youth market craving power, speed, and personality. With the rise of the national highway system, Americans wanted cars built for open-road adventure. The GTO was the perfect fit. Even critics and car magazines started to pay attention. The GTO might have had some quirks, slower steering and basic drum brakes, for example, but no one could argue with its street dominance. This was a car you heard before you saw, and it redefined what performance meant in an American car. The GTO didn't just meet expectations, it shattered them. Why do you think the GTO resonated so deeply with young drivers at the time? Let's talk about the name. GTO. It sounds fast, doesn't it? But it wasn't just clever marketing. The badge came with a backstory. Inspired by the elite Ferrari 250 GTO, it stood for Gran Turismo Omologato, an Italian term meaning homologated for grand touring racing. Now here's the kicker. One Pontiac employee got the car homologated by the FIA in 1964. Yep, the GTO could have raced in European GT classes. It wasn't just a name, it had the credentials to back it up. That's pretty wild for a Detroit-made streetcar. The connection to Ferrari gave the GTO instant cachet. It told drivers, this isn't just a fun ride, it's a performance machine with racing DNA. And people bought into it, hard. Even if most owners never hit a racetrack, the badge made them feel like they could. Today, GTO is more than just 3 letters. It's a symbol of American muscle car rebellion, engineering creativity, and marketing genius all rolled into one. Do you think the name GTO still carries the same weight it did back then? We can't talk about the GTO without giving credit where it's due. The brains behind the beast were some of the sharpest minds at Pontiac. Leading the charge was John DeLorean, the charismatic engineer who'd later become a household name. Alongside him were engine wizard Russell G., master engineer Bill Collins, and a group of others who took a massive risk to make muscle car history. And let's not forget Jim Wangers, Pontiac's marketing guru. He worked closely with the team to make sure the GTO wasn't just fast. It looked and sounded like the future. Wangers helped shape the narrative and got the car in front of the right people. Magazines, media, and the muscle-hungry public. Instead of GM's clear guidelines, but one team got clever, offering the GTO as an optional upgrade. That simple workaround changed everything. It wasn't just about building a fast car, it was a bold move that rewrote the rules and inspired others to follow the same path. Do you think it takes rule breakers like DeLorean to truly move an industry forward? The impact of the 1964 Pontiac GTO is impossible to overstate. It didn't just launch a car, it ignited a movement. From Ford's Mustang to Chevy's Chevelle SS, everyone scrambled to keep up with what Pontiac had started. And here's the beauty of it. It all began with one clever idea and a team brave enough to push back against the rules. They gave the world the first true American muscle car, and the industry was never the same. In today's dollars, that first GTO would cost about $45,620. But what you were buying was a piece of cultural history. The car blended raw power, sleek design, and youth appeal like nothing before it. From drag strips to high school parking lots, the GTO became the stuff of legend. It showed that Americans didn't just want a way to get somewhere, they wanted to get there fast and look cool doing it. If you could take one spin in a perfectly preserved 1964 GTO, what would be the first song you'd blast on the radio? This car changed everything. A bold move that kick-started the muscle car era with power and attitude. It wasn't just built to go fast, it was built to make a statement. If classic engines and legendary rides get your heart racing, hit that subscribe button for more stories from the golden age of speed. Have a favorite GTO moment or the perfect song for your dream cruise? Share it in the comments. We'd love to hear your take on this icon.